I'm here with Milo, the co-owner of Vida Cafe and Carrito restaurant. He has been in Barrio Logan. He's been incubating a lot of entrepreneurs, putting them and placing them into businesses. He's a big influencer here. He's all about the community, and I'm happy to have him with us and welcome. Thank you for taking the time.
Thanks for having me.
Can you just start off? I know that you've been in Barrio Logan most of your life, and can you tell me a little bit about yourself, how you grew up, where you're from, all that?
Actually, I grew up in National City, which is not too far from here. I've been residing in Barrio Logan for about a little over 10 years now, I think. You know, it's home. You know, I feel home here. It's similar to National City. You know, it's a dominantly Latino Chicano neighborhood.
Yeah.
But yeah, my family though stems from Logan. My mom lived on Logan Avenue. My grandparents, my grandma worked at the canneries. A lot of my family lived in Logan, so I feel like the connection and the ties were already here. I think I just had to like trace back and find my roots, you know.
Yeah. You're Chicano?
Yeah. I grew up Chicano, and I have a little bit of Filipino in me.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Go figure.
And do you have a lot of people in your family that went into entrepreneurship, or was it?
No, actually, I mean, in my immediate family, nobody really. But in my extended family, there's been a few. You know, They're still, you know, running their businesses and stuff, but nothing quite like what we're doing.
What you're doing?
Yeah.
Cool. And can you talk about what you're doing? Maybe just talk about like how you started. What was the idea?
Yeah.
I know that I think that Vida started as like a gallery and then turned into a coffee shop.
Yeah. Well, so it started like about 2009. 2000 actually a little bit before that. My friend had got involved with a gallery called Vosalta, which I feel like was a side of Chicano Park and what was already here with the murals under the bridge and all that. I felt like Vosalta was a kind of like the catalyst for what has evolved today. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people, I mean, you know, they don't understand how deep that goes back. But a friend of mine, Carlos Beltran, got involved with this gallery, and I felt like it was like the first step to where we are today. It was definitely influential on me and a few other of my friends who, kind of took the bull by the horns and ran with it.
Yeah. And why is art so important? I know you see it everywhere in Barrio Logan, and you talk about galleries being here and starting from a gallery.
I think it's just, you know, it's in our roots. You know, we're very artistic people. It's in our blood. It's in our lifestyle. You know what I mean? I think just being, you know, Latino Chicano. I mean, with all the beautiful things that we have, it's all artistic, you know. And I think like having Chicano Park again was like major, you know. I mean, being influenced by our elders that have fought for that park, and not only fought for the park, but like gave us these murals to see, and not only they were just painting what they saw, they were sending a message. You know, what they felt was right, and that was like, you know, the biggest way to put it out there was to the masses, was paint these big murals that you know, they wanted to send a message, not just locally but globally, you know. And today, now, you know, 2018, you know, we're a national park, you know, national monument. You know, we just got designated our own museum.
Wow.
You know, so it's, you know, it's like I said, from the 70s, you know, till now, a lot of work has been done, not only by the newer generation, but back in the day by these older cats, you know, Queso Torres, Victor Ochoa, Tommy Camarillo, you know, there's a bunch of people that have been fighting for this, you know, and you just gotta know, like, you gotta understand what they were doing and why they were doing it, to be able to carry on that legacy, you know, because it's definitely a legacy. Another name, Rachel Ortiz, who was really big in the community too, you know, and it was like it was a struggle, You know, it was such a struggle because of the city of San Diego. They didn't want to give up the park. They didn't want to give up this land. They didn't want to, you know, it was always a struggle. They promised us this and they gave us that. You know what I mean? And still to this day, you know, 2018, they still make promises. But now, you know, now I think at this day and age, it's unfortunate, but you know, we've proved ourselves that we're worthy of who we are.
Yeah.
Not only as what we can do with artistically, but you know, what we can do with business and what we can do and proving to the city that we're worthy of you know, giving us grants and money and all these and things to sustain ourselves, to be a strong community that we are today, and people are watching what we're doing, you know. Every community, North Park, South Park, City Heights, you know, they want to know how, you know, and the answer is you just gotta put your community first, you know, even in front of your business, because without the support of your community, your business is not going to flourish. Right. It's just the way it is. Yeah. You know.
So community. You talk about how you've seen it from the beginning to the end, right?
Yeah.
Like not even to the end, but you've seen this whole block just grow.
Yeah.
And community's been a big part of that. And I noticed that you guys put on a lot of events. What do those events mean to you? And being able to have now a space to host those events, what is that? How does that feel for you? I know that you sound passionate about like, the community stuff.
I am. It's amazing because I think it's just like a platform to give, you know, for me, and I know a lot of my friends on the block, you know, we got La Bodega and you got a bunch of other people out here that, you know, for us, I think, man, it's always about giving back and giving opportunity, you know, and I think that's where we, sometimes, you know, we put that before everything, you know, and sometimes people go, you're crazy, you know, but I think it's, you know, when you give people opportunity, it's, you know, we're better together. Always, you know what I mean? And giving opportunity to have like flea markets and all this stuff, it just helps. You know, not everyone can afford, you know, a brick and mortar, you know, shop to be able to sell or to be able to do all these things. You know, it's like, you know, so when you give people the opportunity to come and being able to host them and sell their little things that they make, whether it be, you know, earrings or sewing or whatever it is, you know, it's just about creating opportunity and show what not only what we but our culture has to offer. You know what I mean? Because it's huge right now. The Chicano culture is big right now. It's like it's on the limelight. Everybody wants a piece of it. You know, and who better to give it to them but us, you know. And so I think that's major, building a platform for us to be able to express and put out, you know, what we got.
So what do those conversations look like with your co-owner? Because, you know, Puerto Vida has those events now. It's, you know, community based, and it looks like you saw the opportunity early of like seizing, you know, or seizing the opportunity to show the Chicano culture through a business. What did that conversation look like? Did you always know like art and community were like the foundations of this business, or did it come with time and trying and testing certain things?
You know, I think, you know, time is definitely what happens, you know, when it comes with time. But we kind of, you know, we set a platform early in the game. You know, we kind of, I couldn't say we knew what we were doing, but we raised eyebrows in the city. You know, I was working with this collective really tight, you know, and we were not only just working with each other, we were friends, they were homies, you know, and we were called the Roots Factory. And, you know, I think like at that moment when we were like dabbling in this art and creating community events, I think like at that time, like the light bulb kicked on and we already had people engaged, you know, and I was like, wow, well, you know, this is it, you know, it's about keeping people engaged, sharing the art to the community, putting the community on, doing workshops, like doing all these things, you know, at such an early start. But then it goes back to like, it's just a stem of what they were doing back in the 70s and the 80s.
Yeah.
You know, they were just doing it more. You know, they were protesting. They were doing all kinds of stuff, and it wasn't really like, you know, they didn't have the tools we have now. Yeah. Social media. Yeah. You know, they didn't have all these things that we got now. So I think like we just took what they were doing and put that same effort to work with the tools we have now, and it just like boom, it just blew up.
Yeah, so you built a business around the community, around events,
exactly,
and then the coffee came after.
Yeah,
we were like, yeah, we might as well sell coffee.
Yeah, and I figured coffee was like when I was actually thinking of, okay, what am I gonna do? You know, I've dabbled in art galleries, I've dabbled, you know, in art and printing. I did a bunch of these things. And I was trying to think like, you know, what do we need now? And I figured coffee was a real communal thing. Like it brought people together. Yeah. You know, yeah. Like I felt like, you know, coffee shops, people come, they work, they meet, they inspire, they, you know, they do all these beautiful things, and like I knew at that time like that's what it was.
Yeah. So did you know how to make coffee?
No.
Did you? Did you?
No. You know, fortunately, I had some experience in business. You know, thank God. I worked with Salud, you know, which is an amazing business that's located on the corner right here. And, you know, I was given an opportunity that I was very thankful for to be part of opening it, you know, and I think at the time it was so new. Our team was just, it's what we did. You know what I mean? It's what we did. You know, I had a friend, Eric Casas, who's a videographer, and Carolina, which is my partner, you know, here at Por Vida also. And then Ernie Becerra, who's the owner. You know, we kind of like just you know, it was just a loose conversation that we felt like, you know, there was a lot of potential, and, you know, we didn't even like think of all the things you do when you open a business at the time. Yeah. It was so organic, you know, We just kind of like, we did what we felt in our heart was right, and fortunately, you look at it now and it's a beautiful place. Yeah. You know, so, you know, and I think a lot of times like businesses and people get misled. Like, for me, like, I don't care how much money you got. I don't care, you know, great ideas are awesome, you know, but like in order to pull the trigger and really like make it happen, it's all about your following, you know, because you could sit there and open a taco shop and open the doors and it's beautiful inside, and you know, you open the doors and you're like, where is everybody? You know, so, and I think that's what happens a lot, you know. I think that's what happens a lot, you know. So, you know, with us, I think I call it building backwards for business and entrepreneurs. I recommend this to everybody. You know, I think it's, you know, I think it's the truth. You know, you build backwards. You build your following. Yeah. You create your following. You create the hype. You build all that. You build it, and then you build your platform. Right. And then by that time, you have everybody else engaged. Yeah. You know, and it don't matter what you serve them. At that point, they're engaged. Yeah. You know, so, you know, that's a word of advice. You know, people always ask me, you know, like, oh, what's your, you know, and I think like those two things is building a platform, creating a following, and consistency. Nice. You know, being consistent is like so key. You know, and even though it's like the most hardest thing to do. It's like, you know, it's gonna make you or break you. Right. You know, and a lot of times it breaks people because it's so hard to stay consistent because of why? Because, you know, you got your job, you got kids, and, you know, all life, you know, and but if you really want to do it, consistency is where it's at, man. Yeah. You know.
So what were some of the struggles? I know you talked about you're just working hard. Was there ever a time where you like, man, this might not work, or like, just I don't know what I'm doing.
30 minutes ago, like I said.
Well, like I don't know.
Like, personally, like never, because I think it's like a team effort. I have a great team. You know what I mean? I've always, from the jump, from day one, you know, we had a great team. You know, we've always worked together. We've always like, you know, it's always been a team effort, man. You know, you know, like I said, everybody's good at something. You can't wear all the hats. You know, you can't wear all the hats. We had great graphic designers. We had great, you know, artists. We have great, you know, the people person, the one that's going to go out there and talk and you know, and get everyone excited about it. You know, you had all those things that were important to the following and the growth of what we were doing. You know, so you know, it's just one of those things. It's like you know, you can only it's we're together. Where, you know, there's a saying too I always think of. It's like you pick your favorite, like your rap group video or your rock band video, you know, or your group, I mean, and you always like, you know, you always pick your favorite rapper or your favorite, you know, it's kind of the same thing. You're always going to be stronger as a group than you are a single person trying to go out there and be like, hey, I'm the guy, you know what I mean? Like, you know, so for us, it's a group effort. You know, I can't take credit for what's done. You know, I can only take, you know, not even credit, but I can only, you know, give credit to what has been done. You know?
So a lot of people, I think, are always hung up about, like, how do you find people? How do you find people who want to take this jump with you, or want to start something with you? Because it's risky, you know. You could not be successful, right? How did you find those? Were you cool with them, like, growing up?
Yeah, you know, it's weird because that's another crazy question. You know, it's like, man, like, you know, like the group of friends that I consider, you know, our core, that really like put us where we are today. You know, and we got you know, Beto, Bob Hernandez, Bob Green, you know, Anna Brown, you know, Chris Sertucci, you know, Carlos Beltran, like all these guys. Like I don't know, and it's crazy because like me and Chris, we've known each other since we were 11 years old. You know, me and Carlos, we've known each other since we were 9 years old. You know, and we all have like the same, like there's just something about, you know, I've known Beto since he was a young kid, and Anna, like, it's weird, like, I don't know, like, we all just had this, like,
the drive to start something.
It's just kind of weird, you know, it's, you know, it wasn't like we handpicked. I think everyone just had their place, you know what I mean, and it's something I can't explain, really. It was just, you know, I mean, you know, that's real organic. That's real organic, you know. But I think, like, if people are looking for, you know, like, to build a collective and to be, you know, to inspire and to be creative and to do, you know, an entrepreneurship or whatever, you know, you want to put together. But I think, like I said, it takes a team. You got to have, you know, your video guy, and you got to have your communication guy, and you got to have your this guy. You know, you got to have all those guys in place in order to get the ball rolling. So yeah, definitely you got to have those key guys. For us, organically.
Nice. So kind of to go back a little bit, maybe can you talk about, like, maybe how some of the stuff that you were faced with when you were younger, how that translated into, like, your motivation or your experience? Like, did the skills or character that you built when you were younger help you build this thing, or
you know, like, man, when I was, I mean, I can't really, like, my life, definitely when I was younger, and then, you know, getting married and having kids, and then where I'm at now, they're like three different, you know,
people.
Exactly. I wore three different hats, you know. My early life, you know, I grew up, and, you know, I was always inspired by graffiti, you know, the lowrider culture, you know, just having my mom and my dad growing up in that scene, you know, listening to oldies and just, you know, embracing who she was and who we were at the time, you know, growing up in low income housing and you know, just kind of like being, you know, a product of our environment, you know, growing up like that. I definitely think it's helped me you know, who I am today, because I'll never forget those days. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll never forget growing up, you know, at the very beginning in a single family home with just my mom, and you know, her struggling, trying to raise me, and then you know, my dad not being in the picture, and you know, he's had a hard life, you know, being in gangs, and you know, and growing up in the neighborhood, and you know, just that whole struggle of my mom trying to figure out, you know. But at the end of the day, this is their neighborhood, you know what I mean? And we got to understand that we came into their neighborhood, you know. It's like, you know, so we you know, I always say that, never forget, you know, never forget where you are, you know, and I embrace all of them, you know, sometimes a little too much, you know, but you know, that's just my character. It's just who I am. You know what I mean? You know, I've had this Yelp review written. It's funny. I'll share this story because I think it's wild. You know, it's funny. I had this Yelp review written about us. You know, about the coffee shop, and it was, you know, paragraphs, like, you know, a couple long, and I was like, you know, and it was just like, you know, when did the Port Vida, and just all these beautiful things, you know, like, you know, just everything you want to hear about your business, you know. And then at the very end, this person totally flipped it and said, yeah, but you got to walk through a bunch of cholos to get inside, you know. And I'm like, well, you know, like, who was my family out there? Was my cousins out there? Were my homies out there? You know, and it's like, you know, we don't pick and choose around here. You know what I mean? Like, that's part of the neighborhood. You know what I mean? That's where we chose to be. That's why we put our businesses here. That's why you put your business in South Park or North Park or Encinitas or Chula Vista, and it's nothing against them, but we chose to be here, and that's what this neighborhood is culturally about. You know what I mean? So, you know, don't you know, knock me for, you know, my choices of you know, where I could afford to be. You know what I mean? You know, don't knock our culture because, you know, you're here because you want to see the lowriders coming down the street, and you want to see the beautiful murals and the graffiti and the lowrider cars, and you want to see all that, but yet you want to knock us, like, oh, you know, about who we are. Like, you know, it's like, wait a minute, you know, we can't just draw the line like that. You know what I mean? It's all or nothing. You know, so, you know,
you don't shy away from it.
Right? Man, you know, it's like, I never want that to stop. That's who makes us who we are, you know. I get that all the time, you know. They look at us, and the Ernie at Salud, and Pablo from Barrio Dogs, and Jessica from La Siena, and you go up and down this street, and we're all Chicanos, we're all tatted up. You know, we came from the street. You know what I mean? We just made different choices. You know, we've had that. We've grown up in that life. You know what I mean? And you know, we're not trying to say, oh, we're, you know, this and that, but you know, like, we all have a story to tell. You know, and you know, and sometimes people get it confused. They get it misled. You know, they come and, oh, you know the owner? And I'm like, yeah, hey, how's it going? My name is Milo. And they're like, oh, you own this place? And I'm like, yeah, what's up? Hey, you know, what's up? You know, and it's like, you know, we get that all the time, you know, and it's just stereotyping, you know. It's about, who, you know, it's easy to call somebody out, you know, it's easy to call somebody out, but at the end of the day, it's who we are, you know what I mean? And I'm super proud to be Chicano. I'm super proud to represent, you know, Barrio Logan, Logan Heights, and be here and you know, alongside my business owners, my friends. You know, I feel super blessed, you know, and I wouldn't have it no other way. You know?
So we're gonna wrap it up, but I know you have right now, you have 30,000 followers on Instagram. You have a big following. You're very successful in what you're doing. What's the plan, like, for the future for Port Vida? Where do you see that?
I mean, you know, my future is it's first and foremost, we'll sustain our neighborhood. You know, sustain this neighborhood, keep it, you know, keep it authentic, keep it Chicano, and I think, you know, and then having a business here, I think everything else will follow.
Yeah.
You know, just keep it real roots. You know what I mean? I think that has such a big role and a big part of what we're doing. You know, and you know, and you know, we want to open up more Por Vidas. You know, we want to venture out. You know, we want to be in North Park, and we want only because I want to share what we have. You know, I want them to walk inside, not them. I want people to walk inside and, you know, embrace the papel picado and the you know, and the horchata and the pan dulce, and I want to park my Lolo out front, and I want people to get a piece of that because it's so beautiful. Right. You know, it's a beautiful thing that you know our peoples work so hard for. You know, and I just don't want it to stop and end, you know. And everybody loves setup and blankets, you know what I mean? That's what we made, that's our shit, you know. So, you know, I want to share all that beautiful stuff, the colors, the food, the culture, you know, and people, I really want to share that with everybody and just make it grow, you know, make it grow. And you know, like I always say, man, like any, you know, young entrepreneurs that want to, you know, start a business and they're Chicano, Latino, Mexicano, whatever you know, associate yourself with. We're all the same in blood at the end. Yeah. But you know, I encourage you, you know, just to do it. You know what I mean? Because there's never been a better time than now. You know. Yeah. You know, there's never been a better time. Look at LA. They got so many different, you know, different brands and stuff, and they're all Chicano based and they're just blowing up. They're just blowing up. They're getting reached out to by corporate, you know, like Nike's hitting them up, and you know they want to do collaborations. When is that? You know, like come on, you know that don't happen. You know, it's crazy. So it's crazy. You know, and just you know, do your research. You know, do your research. You know, and just you know, educate yourself. You know what I mean? And be proud of who you are and just, you know what I mean, keep it moving. Yeah.
Well, thank you for your time. Truly an inspiration.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Motivational. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you taking the time.